Well, we'll start with a big one. Start with roll call. Our roll callers running
Our real callers.
Kay Harrison, Mike Parker,
around. I'm here.
Roger Tone,
Here.
Jim Snyder,
Present.
Michael Parsons.
Here.
Do we want to start with question and answer?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
hear the
right.
public?
If Paul doesn't want to stay for our whole meeting, he doesn't have to, so we figured we'd get him at the first.
We'll let you escape.
Yeah, I'm driving straight back to Eugene as soon as I'm done. All right, so I understand, I've been told that you guys, you and everybody else we've sent this letter to recently, you get a little, got a letter that was a little surprising to you.
Yeah.
Well, for years, the AICPA issues audit standards, American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. For years in their audit standards, they've said you have to consider revenue and management override controls as significant risks. And that's what your letter says. Just this first year of your audit, they changed the standard and they said, now you have to send a letter to the board that says that. So nothing's really changing in the audit, but now we have to tell you that, and we cannot, because I don't think it applies to governments very well at all, but they issue rules for all audits. I mean, people doing Chevron are following these rules like we're. So, and we cannot, I've tried, but we cannot say we're not gonna follow it because it doesn't apply. It really has no effect on road cover sewer. But it is required now that we communicate that to you in a letter every year as the audit's complete. And it is required that we have those two things, as they put it, determined as significant risk. Nothing's really changed on the audit. Now you have to be told that we're doing this.
So after that letter went out, I got a call from Jim and Kay who looked at that and, you know, we're wondering if there was something that had happened.
That is coming.
Right.
I'm gonna change the rules. Nothing's happened.
Yeah.
The rules changed.
Yeah, so nothing, that same comment that they can't, what is it called? Management override controls.
Yeah.
So, you know, if Brenda and I colluded and tried to hide things from Paul and were successful at it, and he didn't find it, that wouldn't show up in the audit.
Right.
And that's kind of a, you know, we're not doing that. That's not happening, but that was just kind of a standard disclaimer that they have to be put in now. So.
As a disclaimer include, will if you, Brenda and Paul include.
That'd be a lot of trouble. I don't think there's enough to make me collude, because
Okay.
I'd lose my license to practice accounting, so that's a big loss for me.
You could retire and what you take.
Yeah.
Well, if the amount's enough, you can retire, you won't have to worry about
Yeah.
I technically just hit the retirement age, but my partners only stick around for a while longer.
I have one question. I received an email this morning asking for extensive background and financial information on board members as well. How extensive do you want that to be?
Who sent you that email? Did you get that from?
her.
Brenda asked me to send an email about their education and
Oh.
experience.
Okay. That's also, financial information is not that critical, but
Okay,
it's basically, now I know what you're talking about. It's basically, do you know enough to understand the financial statements when we present?
okay,
That's really what we're looking for.
Okay.
So what kind of business background do you have? Have you looked at financial statements before? Brenda has to, starting last year, we had a letter from Brenda that said, here's my education, this is what I did. That, and we're doing it this year now with board members. Again, this is a new change in the standards. I guess the fear is in the industry, I prepare the statements, I give them to you guys and to Brenda, and I know Brenda knows what's going on. You guys don't have a clue what's going on. And the way they're changing the rules, I then would be considered not independent because you don't understand what's going on in the state.
okay,
And when you're not independent, you can't do an audit.
understand.
It was both education and practical experience.
Yeah, education and practical experience, yes.
I was also involved as the CEO and COO and CFO of a corporation.
You probably have plenty of it.
So I'll just include that on there.
Yeah, just include that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So nothing about personal finance, just.
No, there's not,
Business
there's not
knowledge.
anything in there about personal. It's just knowledge. If you read the financial statements, can you understand?
That's fine.
Now, some of those footnotes, nobody understands, so I wouldn't worry too much about that.
Okay.
Any other
Since
questions?
we don't have an actual report yet, there's nothing.
No, that won't be until December or
good.
January.
Yeah, that'll be later. We just finished, my team is down here with me the last 2 days, so they went home yesterday.
Okay, and didn't find anything during that.
No. You got a good accounting staff here.
Did you?
Oh, so you're not gonna give the results today, you're gonna hold back on this.
Yeah, I don't anticipate anything major, but you know, I'm not done with it
You wanna
either.
wait for the party.
Wait for the party when I come down in January, probably, maybe December. Whenever I make it down.
In years past, after all this process is done, we usually get a letter that's, was addressed originally to our finance person, that says they did a wonderful job and they're certified, there's a special award or something. Is that-
Oh, that's the GFOA.
is that
That's
still
not
in front?
something we do, but that's the GFOA.
Oh,
They're out of Chicago. It's the Government Finance Officers Association. Yes, you apply for the award and you get an award from the GFOA.
okay, good.
At least you picked a good day to come.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah, it's nice out there. Enjoyed my run this morning. Any other questions?
No.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Thanks for coming down.
Yeah,
Have a good drive home.
thank you.
I got gas at Costco, it's a lot cheaper, I just did that.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, before I go any further, should we turn to anybody in the audience that might want to speak? Before
So
you
is that,
guys get held back by us talking about funny things.
unless you'd rather we speak closer to the agenda item.
Yes, usually things not on the agenda.
Yeah,
So I've got that, I've got in my board report, information on Gold Hill, so
okay.
we can.
Then we'll move on to item 1, our consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Also,
A motion and second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mike Parker,
Yes.
Roger Tone,
yes,
Jim Snyder,
yes,
Michael Parsons.
Yes.
Okay, item number 2, resolution 22-20. Personnel policy update.
Okay, this is what we do every year in October. We try to find things that we need to fix in our personnel policies. I've got 3 items here that I want to change. Find them. Remember what numbers they were, John?
I
There's
didn't
one.
pay attention.
Okay. On chapter 4, employee travel authorization, I actually had our attorney who dealt with our issues back in the spring write this for us, but basically this outlines the behavior we expect of our staff when they go on company sanctioned excursions, going away to trainings and stuff like that. So it's pretty broadly written, basically. If you're acting like a jerk when you're on company business, then you're subject to discipline, even if you're on your own time. So,
I just have one idea on that, it's the second bullet, it's the being overtly flirtatious, blah, blah, blah. I'm trying to look at it from the standpoint of a lawyer or a court, because somebody's misbehaved. And there must be somewhere there's a definition of flirtation, but I'm not sure if there's a definition of being a fine line between overly and less than overly. But we have that word in there, so how does that get interpreted? What's that line that somebody crosses over being overtly flirtatious? I don't know where that is.
that is a good question, and I don't know, I mean, our attorney wrote this, so she's the one to put that in there. I think, actually, I think you rely on the judgment of the person who's the target of whether or not it's overtly and becomes offensive.
I'm just thinking about if somebody does something, no matter whether it's good or bad, and somebody complains, then it becomes a legal problem.
Yeah,
You know, how's the interpretation of this person being overly flirtatious versus, it's okay just to say I'm pretty, you know, versus whatever else they did.
I don't, yeah, you know,
Because you get
I
lost.
think everything's gonna be kind of an individual assessment, when it, you know, when it happens, if it happens. And I think we would do more or less how we did it the last time, where we, you know, investigated and tried to find out exactly what, you know, what happened and if it crossed the line. And I think one of the reasons that you put that in here is that having that in here gives us a little bit more substance if it does come to a disciplinary issue. Does that make sense?
No, it does,
Yeah,
because,
okay.
you know, it's a behavioral thing, but it's also a subjective thing. And when you get subjective evaluation criteria into a legal sense, it can become a problem. Can they actually prove it?
But, you know, a lot of the
Challenge.
laws around harassment, that type of thing, really do depend on how the person who's the target of it perceives. You know, I mean, the same words and the same actions, you know, one person versus another is going to have a very different reception, depending on the person who's on the receiving end of it. And sometimes, you know, and I think that's typically how they've, you know, drawing the lines of, you know, what's considered hostile environment, what's considered harassment, that type of stuff.
Yeah, maybe something for the next generation, the first thing a year from now. To have a lawyer look at, you know, is that too subjective?
Yeah,
Does it give too much power to the person that's choosing? Or does it make it the standard too high to meet and they can't get what they?
yeah, and I mean, in any situation, you're not relying on one person's reporting to enact this, but I mean, it has to be corroborated. Okay, any other questions on that change? The other changes that we made, one of them relates to insurance. And it's just because we changed insurance. Our old insurance required you to work 80 hours in a month before you were eligible for healthcare. The new one says you're eligible the first of the month following when you start. So that's just to make it consistent with what our current policy is. And the last one I made, let's see, post-accident drug testing is something we've always done it, but it was never in the policies. And so what I did here is I wrote it basically to match the commercial driver's license regulations. So, you know, if a person's an offender bender, that doesn't constitute reasonable suspicion to send someone for a drug test. But if it's a serious accident, it does. And we've done it in the past where, you know, our truck got rear-ended and we sent the driver to a drug test. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, he's not doing anything that is in any way suspicious. So under these rules, and this is what the commercial driver's license rules are, is if it's serious, if there's a fatality, or if you know, or if our any vehicle is disabled. How does it go? If our driver is cited for a violation and there's a certain amount of damage, then that would trigger that. So I think that's a more reasonable approach than just anything that's, you know, it has to go.
I do agree with everything that's written there.
Okay.
On that. But the next question is, I'm looking at the actual site of the accident. It's now happened. The police say, let's do a drug test. That guy says, hell no. There's nothing in here that addresses declining, that I could find, declining to take the drug test and what the consequences are, both for us and for the legal side of that. This is all father to the person.
Yeah,
that takes the test.
I'd have to check. It should be buried in there somewhere that, you know, that in itself is grounds for discipline. But
I couldn't find anything.
if it's not, I'll have to make note of that, and next October I'll make sure.
Yeah, it might be something looking into.
Yeah.
Because it
Well,
becomes-
there is
Tiger.
There isn't 6710-2-3 that says all employees may be asked to submit to reasonable suspicion testing.
Yes.
Certainly, if that case, if they've had an accident, the first question you would ask is, have you been drinking? It also states employees reasonably believed to be under the influence of alcohol or drugs shall be prevented from engaging in further work and shall be encouraged to wait for a reasonable time until an authorized district representative or law enforcement representative can transport the employee from the work site. In other words, they're not trusted to even drive at that point
Right.
until you've had a drug test.
But I think the question is like, if you get pulled over for drunk driving and you refuse the breathalyzer, they can revoke your license based on just that refusal. So I think Jim's right. That's probably something that we should have in there.
Yeah, what's our response to somebody who
Yeah.
fails to do that?
Right. Okay. I will make note of that, and next time we review, I'll make sure it's in there.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on that one?
Nope.
That is a resolution that we need action on.
All right.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2220, personnel policies.
Can I ask one question? It didn't occur to me until this afternoon. I was rereading a couple of portions. On this one, we have two different documents with the same title, personnel policies, which address different things.
One of them has the red lines on, so you can see the changes, and the other one is just a clean version.
That clean version doesn't match with the other one, line by line, paragraph by paragraph. You have two different documents in there. I think, I'll go back and look.
I didn't even look at them. I just put in there what you sent me, Carl.
Jim, we have a motion, you have a second.
Well, I'm waiting for, okay, I'll make the second, and then I want to have a discussion because
I'm not gonna let you two sit next to each other anymore.
now the first one here with the red lines, the personnel policies resolution 97-46. And then you go to the next document, which it has the same title and the same resolution number. Yeah, here it is. Personnel policies 97-46. It has all the same information on it. But I recall the table of contents are different. It's like two different policies for two different purposes.
I do see the same thing.
Seems to me we have-
That,
Although the second one says it's resolution number 9746 as amended. Going through January 19th, 2022 shows resolution 22-01. Which is the one that might have been passed earlier.
Yeah. What I think I'm saying is that we have two different documents, two different purposes, both with the same title. And I agree that everything is in them
okay,
someplace, but I don't.
I gotta see what, because I'm pretty sure all I did was mark one up and then turn off the red line and accept the changes on the second one. So I'm not sure how that could be. Did we?
I'm gonna go back and look at the table of contents of each one. I think they're different.
In the second one, nothing is black and it all shows pretty much what is in the red issue,
Yeah,
including the comments, the list of all exhaustive lists. And it's just about identical as the first one. So he is right, there is two copies.
yeah, the only thing that should be different is that the comments are turned off on the second one and the red lines are accepted.
The second one has all the red line information.
The second one was?
Yes, this one is actually probably is page 58 through, here's one,
Right, this is the clean version.
okay,
So this is just what Carl did and all the changes that he
are
made.
here.
Right, so this is what he made up here and he took out that.
So this copy has included all the changes and
Yes.
redacted all the stuff that didn't belong there.
That's correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
As amended.
Correct. I don't know, did it, the table of contents, did it automatically
I didn't-
update that?
I didn't do anything to the table of contents, so it's possible that. If we added something, it should have been in the table of contents.
Okay, it may not be a problem. It looked to me when I was at home reading and went back. It
Or if it's
looked
a
like the word
longer,
different. It's much a red line.
if you put more verbiage in there and it made the page.
That's possible, yeah.
So,
Although the second version has a table of contents and it matches page number 14 of this copy. So this copy is good here.
that's what it should
The
be,
pages
yeah.
match. Shows that item number 4.1 should be on number 14. And that's what it states here.
Okay, good.
So this copy is good. This is the work on copy, probably.
Yeah.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, disregard all this.
Okay. All right.
I got miswired something.
Any other discussion on that then before we vote?
Discussion with the-
Okay. Roll call.
Mike Parker,
Yes.
Roger Tone,
He fell
Sorry.
asleep.
Sorry, I'm a little slow at the button here. I'm a yes on that one.
okay,
Thank you.
Jim Snyder,
Yes,
Michael Parsons.
Yes.
Okay, personnel policy, and we'll go on to item number 3. Let's rediscuss personnel policy. I'm not sure we covered it all.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, just kidding. Resolution 2221, electrical vehicle charging policy and putting out their fires if they go off.
Okay, so we talked last month about this, about whether or not we would allow employees to charge their personal vehicles at our electric charging station. And the general sense of the board last month was that, yeah, that seems like a good thing to do. But there was questions about whether or not that would be a taxable benefit and the overall fairness of allowing that. So I did what research I could on that. And I talked to Joe Kellerman, our attorney. He says, I don't know, talk to your auditor. And I talked to the auditor, and he said it would be okay to do that. And basically what we would be determining on the taxable side of it is if that's considered a de minimis fringe benefit. And so you look at a couple of different factors, and it's kind of akin to having free coffee and tea in the break room and that kind of stuff, that, you know, it is a benefit, there is a value to it, but it's so minor and insignificant that it's not worth trying to account for that. You know, the overall cost of it, you know, I tried to do some calculations on that, but basically, you know, a typical EV that they have right now, I think it would, you know, the amount of electricity it takes to charge it, you know, for a normal commute, you know, if someone's driving 30 miles to and from work, it's about $1 a day. So that's, you know, how much does coffee cost? I mean, it's kind of in the same range. So, and plus the tracking and accounting for it would be more expensive than actually what you're giving away. So that's why I am recommending we approve this policy that would allow employees during work hours to charge at our chargers. There's some protections in there to make sure that obviously, you know, the charging of company cars take precedence. And if we get to a situation where we have a lot of people, right now there's only one person that has one. But if we get a situation where there's a lot of people who want to use it, then we'll have to, you know, work out a schedule or whatever to make sure that nobody's.
I do know Butler and Lithia both have several charging stations in there.
Yeah.
And they allow not only the company's employees, but public to use it.
Yeah, because you want people coming in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a draw. So, you know, that's kind of the idea. I mean, obviously, we're looking, you know, as we move forward, we're going to have more and more electric vehicles in our own fleet, and I expect, you know, as the technology improves and the availability improves, more and more of our employees from
I wasn't kidding about the fire. Apparently, in Florida, from the floods and the hurricane and all, these disabled electric cars are, many of them are, after being drowned and everything else, are catching fire. They're just
Yeah.
Just take gone, and then it's taking fire department, tons of water to get those out.
Yeah, I bet.
Because I think they get out better with foam.
Yeah.
They don't drive around with foam in them.
Okay, so anyway, the recommendation is that we would approve that policy.
Yeah, I agree with doing it. What I wanted from the last discussion we had was make sure we had a legal defined backup plan for when you get that complaint from somebody that I'm being discriminated against.
Yes,
Like,
yeah, this is a lot tighter.
this is much better.
Okay.
Let's have a vote.
Yeah, to accept resolution 22-21 electrical vehicle charging policy.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Mike Parker,
Yes, ma'am.
Roger Tom.
Yes.
Jim
Yes.
Snyder,
Yes.
Yes.
We heard you, Roger.
You were right on the spot, buddy.
So, I can't tell if this thing's muted or not.
Can hear you.
My name,
Resolution 22-22, pipe reimbursement costs.
Okay, so this is a resolution we update, we try to update this every year. And what this does is it sets a price. If we tell a private developer that, you must build a bigger pipe than what you need to for your project. And it happens sometimes, because we have upstream needs and we want them to oversize. And then sometimes we require them to build more pipe through their, than they would otherwise need to. And this sets the price that we would pay for that. That's just important because we can tell them up front, you need an 8-inch pipe to serve your development, but we want you to put in a 12-inch because there's other stuff upstream. And so we'll pay that difference in cost to cover your expenses on that. And without this, then we get to this big arguing, negotiating thing, and it's just a lot cleaner. So anyway, Nick's gone through and updated the costs. He looks at current pipe costs and current labor costs factored into it. So it should be pretty representative of what a person's expenses actually would be.
That's what actually has these rates in place for the last few years. Have you ever had a complaint that had to be adjudicated on?
We don't do it very often. I mean, it's pretty rare that we actually have to go with this, but it's good to have it.
Okay,
I move to accept resolution 22-22 pipe reimbursement costs as written.
I'll second.
is there any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Mike Parker,
Yes.
Roger Tom,
yes.
Jim Snyder,
Yes.
Michael Parsons.
Yes.
Okay, the next one is a contract for an LID barrier identification. And Jenny might want to chime in on this also, but there's a permit requirement in our stormwater permit that says we have to review our land use codes of the jurisdictions that we support on this to see if they have any built-in code sections that would prohibit low impact development. And so the first step is to identify if there's things in people's building codes or in their zoning ordinances that would limit the ability to do low impact development. And then once those are identified, then there's a process to try to correct those if you can. So Jenny solicited proposals for that. And we got a good one from OTEC.
Is that the only one we got?
That's what?
Is that the only one we got? It's not sole source.
I don't know. I think that is the only one we got. Jenny might be able to chime in and see if we got any others. This is something OTEC, one of the niches that they're trying to fill, I think. So they've done it for some other communities as well.
Yeah, to be clear, we did not solicit proposals. We specifically asked for a proposal from this entity.
Okay.
Sole source.
Yeah. So what we end up with is they're going to review the Phoenix talent and Jackson County land use ordinances, and just to see if there's any prohibitions that would adversely affect our ability to treat stormwater.
Now, to me, the number of hours and pricing are reasonable. They haven't uploaded it with the expensive guys doing it all. It's done by less expensive folks. And the
Yeah.
more expensive one just, well, reading the paper and signing it.
Right.
So that's standard practice. But I move to accept resolution 22-23 of Board of Contracting LID code review as written.
I'll second.
Okay, have any other discussion on that?
Yeah, Roger has a little discussion on that.
Say something, Roger?
Yeah, can you hear me well enough?
Breaking up a little.
Shoot. I'm kind of having a hard time with spending money on that, actually.
We're having a hard time hearing you.
He said he's having a hard time with the amount of money of the contract.
And, I'm sorry I guess I'm kind of like, if there's an opportunity, I wouldn't mind reviewing that contract to take a look at what we're really getting there. I don't know if that's saving us. I don't know what it's saving us from. Are we gonna get sued because we've got some contract language? Doesn't allow LID. So I'm not coming through clear.
You're pretty broken up, but so Roger, this contract is to address a permit requirement where we have to go through and review codes and identify any potential barriers to LID that are present within the code.
And we can't require the cities and the county to do that themselves.
The cities and the county don't have the resources to do it.
This is part of the permit requirement, Roger, and, since we're the ones that are implementing the permit, it does fall on us to take this action. Obviously, we wouldn't be able to change any of the codes. I mean, we'd have to work with the other entities if that turned out to be needed. But as far as identifying it, that does fall on us to do.
Mm-hmm. And
All right.
removing the barriers is also required by the permit. This is just the first step to getting there, is to find out if there's anything we need to worry about.
All right, I'll go with it.
Okay, let's go roll call then, please.
Mike Parker,
Yes.
Roger Tone,
Yes.
Jim Snyder,
Yes.
Michael Parsons.
Yes.
All right, moving along, we're up to item 6, project update.
That's Nick.
Nick, can you hear us?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Barely, but that's okay.
Oh, okay. I'll try to speak up. So Antelope Road, coming down from the top, there's not much progress there. We've kind of shelved that one to wait for the federal funding process. West Glenwood Pump Station, our construction crew, we've got some time in between the work we're going to do with the lagoons and now. And so we're going to, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So the construction crew is going to go out and start on West Glenwood Pump Station on Monday. So we just had a bit of a pre-construction meeting this morning, and we've got a good plan, and we've got all the material and finally, and the equipment from the vendor after about a year of waiting. So we're pretty excited to get on that one. It's going to be a fun one. Shady Cove 6, very similar to West Glenwood. We are still waiting on equipment for that one. Shady Cove Pump Station 2, I've been working with Dashton a small amount to get going on the design on that, but we're still working. ODOT Highway 99, Rose Street to Glenwood. This project it's a pretty big one for ODOT. They're redoing the entire corridor from Rose Street to Glenwood. We actually have, we're also working with them on a stormwater facility we'll talk about in a minute as well. But we will have some pipe relocations on this project. The way it works is if our pipes are in the existing right of way on a corridor and ODOT says we need to move them for their project, we basically have to move them on our dime. Fortunately for us, a lot of our facilities along this corridor are actually located outside of the existing right of way and existing easements, which ODOT has a process. They can't force us to pay for that because they're expanding their right of way footprint. So that means that a lot of the relocations we'll be doing for this project will be reimbursable by ODOT. And so currently we're just finalizing the scope of work and what will be reimbursed and what won't be. So there will be more to come on that one.
Yeah, I did hear for that this morning, actually.
Take a look.
Yeah.
You're on top of it.
Yeah.
So Vilas Siphon, that one's, the design is well on its way. That one's been kind of shelved till we get some more capacity, inspection capacity. The lagoons, this is the most exciting one. The contractor is currently finalizing all the rock grade for our access and all of the dikes in between the lagoon cells. And we had a meeting this morning with the contractor, the electrician, to start working on getting the power we need out there. Currently it's single phase, we need 3-phase power for our equipment. So we just found out the existing poles that are out there are, for lack of a better word, substandard. This is news to you, Carl, since our meeting, and we may have to either trench and go out to the highway or replace those poles, which isn't a huge deal, but we're in process on that. But we should hopefully have this facility up and running. I mean, optimistically, maybe beginning of spring next year. Kind of, yeah, Carl's shaking his head. I think that's a good estimate, but you know how these things go. That's optimistic, and probably the thing that's going to push this back the most is procurement of materials and all of our electrical equipment. So we'll just have to kind of cross our fingers and wait and see on that. But we're chugging along. West Valley View Road in Talent. This project, we were waiting for the contractor to work out a dispute they had with the city of Talent on the striping. They were holding up all of the punch list items that we had identified before they could get that done. I've noticed that they've completed the striping, so I'm going to be pushing on them to complete the punch list items on that project. Common stormwater facility, we're still working with the property owner. I feel like we're very, very close at this point to finalize our sales agreement. We just had a couple little things we had to iron out, and we'll give you an update on it next month. 7th Street stormwater facility, Jenny's still working with the state and federal agencies on wetland permitting. That's kind of been an ongoing thing for quite some time, and probably will be. Just that's kind of the nature of those permits. SCADA and UV disinfection in Shady Cove. Carl's actually sent out an RFQ for you got that submitted already, didn't you, Carl? Or you got it posted?
For the design, yes, that's already on the street.
Yep. So we're looking for professional services for somebody to take a look at both of those, and we'll give you an update next month. We got our eye on a couple local shops that do that. RH2 we're very familiar with, and then there's actually Tag Automation, which is up north, which Kevin, our treatment manager, has worked with quite a bit too. So both of those options would be more than adequate. So, and I don't have the Glenwood facility on here, but it sounds like, Jenny, you can chime in here. We're moving forward with finalizing an agreement with ODOT to construct a regional stormwater facility with the Highway 99 Rose Street to Glenwood highway reconstruction project. So that project is pretty awesome. It's going to treat, it's going to manage stormwater runoff from approximately 124.5 acres, something like that, which is a huge chunk of ground. And a ton of that was in the fire area. Just kind of serendipity, I guess, after talking to ODOT with this project and moving forward. And we've been working on it ever since. So that one's moving forward as well. Pretty excited about it. That is all I have for today.
That was a lot.
Yeah, we got some stuff going on.
You were quick.
Okay.
Okay, that's our project updates. How about stormwater update? You out there?
I'm right here.
There you are.
So we already did the resolution to award the contract. The next two items are our annual reports that we have to submit by November 1st to DEQ every year. So these are the annual reports I bring to you guys to document everything we have been doing during the fiscal year, the previous fiscal year, to be in compliance with our MS4 report and our 1200C CN MOAs and IGAs that we have with DEQ. And Carl has to sign away his life there to submit these. There is a formal form that he has to sign saying under penalty of law, I have reviewed these documents and everything is accurate and true. So these are for you guys to approve. We'll need approval on both reports to send them to DEQ.
You sent those as a separate email with those hard copies here. There's a lot there. I mean, it's pretty comprehensive summary of everything involved with implementing the stormwater permit for the year.
The private citizen was interesting to through one for the airport, because it's just hundreds of pages.
Oh, yeah. So do we need approval on those?
So we need approval on both reports to send them to DEQ. Yes.
I move to approve FY22 annual MS4 report and FY22 annual 12-C/CN report as written.
And I'll second.
And that was, second one was FY22 annual 1200.
Yep. 1200-C/CN. Does say something else? Sorry.
Any other discussion? No, probably not. This is my deaf ear. Roll call, please.
Mike Parker,
Yes.
Roger Tone,
It was gone, he came back.
Yes.
Jim Snyder,
Yeah.
Michael Parsons.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 8, O&M updates. Are you out there, O&M?
I'm out there. You hear me okay?
Yeah.
I mean, okay?
We hear you good.
All right. Good afternoon. Collection system items and note aside from the rotational footers there on A, special cleaning. We flushed 9,665 feet of pipe and root sawed 22,351 feet. And like I said, the last couple of months, we've spent a lot of time on root saw this time of the year. We get going on that. We have about 387 pipe sections that have root issues. So this time of year is nice because get through them fairly quickly, but it is time consuming nonetheless. So it does suck up a lot of our time. So the flushing totals, general flushing totals are down because the root sawing is up. Lagoons, we received 146,630 gallons of septage, 58,585 gallons of porta potty waste, and 28,680 gallons of fog for a total revenue of $35,084.25. Gold Hill, rotationally, we flushed 29,620 feet. Special cleaning, we flushed 1,612. And again, we root sawed 1,791 feet out there. So I went ahead and gave you a special cleaning summary for Gold Hill last month, 18.5 equipment hours and 31.5 labor hours on special cleaning for a total of $2,334.03. Special cleaning summary system, 149 equipment hours and 83 labor hours spent on special cleaning last month for a total of $21,173. Outside work, I know I mentioned last month that we had temporarily suspended outside work due to our personnel issues, getting people trained up and whatnot. This is one that we had done right before we suspended that. So we video inspected some storm drain pipe out on Interstate 5 near the Ashland exits for ODOT. Pump stations, Dunn Pump Station, our 480 volt service disconnect breaker lever broke during a power bump. A newer breaker is available, and our electrical engineer is coordinating the replacement with Pacific Power and Jackson County and another inspection service. The part has been in service since 1990, and its current status does not affect the station's normal operations. We cycled that disconnect several times during the project out there, our capital improvement project. So I think it just finally got wore out. We had a little bump in power, and we had an issue with another breaker, and in the course of diagnosing it, we snapped that one off. So the actual work is scheduled to be done October 28th, and it's supposed to only take about an hour, but like I said, you got to coordinate all these players involved so you can get it done in a timely manner. And 480 volts, nothing to mess with. So PP&L gets out there and they terminate the power to the station. We'll get it on generator power. Then the electrician will go in there and swap out the breaker. They'll get inspected, and then we'll just reverse the process and get it back online. So sounds a lot easier, I'm sure, than it's going to be. And aside from that, that's all I got.
Thanks, Shane.
Okay, my turn. So I'm going to go a little bit out of order here, just because I think we're probably going to spend more time talking on Gold Hill. But we already did the electrical vehicle charging. We already did our personnel policies update. We already did our discussion with the auditor. The CMOM report, I've attached that. That's basically a statistical summary of everything we do and everything we are, which you can browse through that. There's really nothing extraordinary about it this year. It's, I would note that our flow monitoring regimen is suffering. The equipment's really old and it's becoming increasingly unreliable, so we don't have as good flow data as I would like, but that is something that we're working on upgrading.
Is that the basis of old machinery?
Yeah, they were built, we put those things in 2000.
Yeah.
And
Only 12 years.
we've gotten a lot out of them. So, and we are, we're working on, basically overhauling that whole system, and we're also working on getting flow monitors at all of our pump stations. So that's going to give us a lot more.
Is Medford going to do the same?
Medford doesn't really have much pump stations, but yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, that's just, I mean, that just gives us a lot, a really wealth of information for doing planning and understanding the behavior of the system. And helps us focus where we're going to do our capital. So it's useful stuff. And then on the SDAO conference, that's going to be February 10th to the 12th. It's in Sun River this year. And I would encourage all of you to attend. And if you want to do that, let Joan know or let me know so we can get rooms reserved and get everybody registered.
I can't.
I won't be there, so I'm actually taking a vacation that week. So.
I can't be there either. I'm going to be in Greece.
Yeah.
I'd rather go to Greece.
Can I go?
So I
Okay.
may be in Greece.
So
Feed you at the conference.
So that kind of circles us back to Gold Hill, and
We have some representatives from Gold Hill. Might as well talk about it.
we do. So I'll just give you my summary. You know, back in September, yeah, as you know, we had a 5-year operating agreement. We extended that for 1 year. And the expectation, actually, when we did the 5-year agreement, was that the city would have whatever they needed to do to get the plans in compliance within that 5-year span. Obviously, that didn't happen. We agreed to a 1-year extension. And then at the September meeting, they made a decision. They voted to replace the existing plant with another activated sludge plant. And they also made a decision to put the operations out for bid, to issue a request for proposals for operating the system. And we've made it pretty clear that we're not going to put in bids for that. So I think
Carl, I don't think they actually,
That hasn't happened yet.
they have not been transparent on what they're doing, and they never actually made that information public, that this is what we're gonna
okay.
do. That's part of our communication
Okay.
problem. So I just
Yeah,
didn't want to
so-
know that.
Yeah. And that probably goes back to the fact that we just transitioned to a new city manager. And
Right.
so things are falling through the cracks.
Okay. So, all right, so that might be up in the air. They did, I thought they did vote on that.
They did vote on a treatment plant,
Yeah,
but they have not disclosed what they're gonna do moving forward.
So did
For when your current contract expires.
Okay,
They're not telling anybody.
okay, all right.
did they discuss it in an open meeting, so it's a public forum?
Yes,
They
Yeah.
just not put a piece of paper out to the public? They did discuss it.
Their meetings are all online. You can watch them on their website.
sometimes they're very hard to hear.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Did you ever come to a conclusion?
Can I just back up just a little
Yeah.
bit? I just want to just back up just a little bit and introduce myself. First of all, I'm Malia Beachide. I've been on city council for a little over 2 years. I am not here as a representative of the city today. I am here as a citizen representing only myself and some people who support me. I was the one person out of the 5 councilors that said no, voted no on building a new plant. There was no rationale given at all. They have not looked at the numbers for the pipeline at all. They made this decision without any information. And in total conflict with what the rest of the community wants to do. And I have a lot of support behind me from community members who want the pipeline. So having said that, they are fumbling around trying to figure out how to do this. And as I said, for the last year, we've had a city manager that did absolutely nothing and gave us no information, gave us no direction in trying to figure out how to make this decision. We, as of just a couple of weeks ago, hired an interim city manager who I think will do a good job. I'm hoping that we can turn this decision over and get back to talking about the pipeline. That's my goal. And Mark is partnering with me on that, and we have a lot of support in the community. There's absolutely been not one person has come to a city council meeting and said, build us a new plant. Every single person who's come to city council has said, get us on the pipeline, every single one. And they're just not listening. So there's gonna be a fight. We don't see it as a done deal.
They can't justify their decision. They've ignored, again, they voted to build basically an exact replacement of the existing treatment plant, which is 1980s technology. They ignored alternative 10 in the facility plan, which was an SPR. It was recommended by Civil West Engineering, and they ignored alternative 11, which was a membrane bioreactor, which was recommended by our current city engineer. And they have absolutely refused to evaluate the pipeline at all. 2 weeks ago, because I've worked at the Medford treatment plant for 37 years. I was a grade 4 wastewater certified operator. 2 weeks ago, I got to the point that this came up after they voted to do this treatment plant. There's not been one word ever posted on the city's website informing citizens of what's going on. So I built a web page. I built a website its intent is to put the facts out there about what's not been done. The city's been under an MAO with DEQ for 10 years. Again, they're not saying anything about anybody. We've just been hit with a $6,000 fine from DEQ. We've been incurring technically a $500 a day fine since September 13th of 2021.
And the city council was not informed of that at all until
They didn't
Mark
know.
found out. No, this was our previous city manager and didn't tell us we were in penalty phase. I was on city council the entire time. I found out that we were in penalty phase with the DEQ from Mark, who found out from a conversation with John Gassick. That was 10 months after we had put in the penalty phase. So it just had some real dereliction of duty of the manager.
And Carl has actually seen the website that I built because I put some information on there about the regional sewer agreement between Medford and RVSS. Kind of a fact sheet. I put some facts together about RVSS operating the Gold Hill treatment plant. Carl's looked at it. He looked at it within a day or two after I put the website live. Wanted him to be comfortable because again, we're trying to present all the facts and be as factual as we can. And Carl has reviewed it and he had one comment and I made a change to what was on there. And so we're coming, I'll stand by everything that's posted on that website. And so we're trying to, in our mind, that's the only way we're going to get the truth out to the citizens of Gold Hill. And again, the overwhelming support is for the pipeline. And we don't know
Among the public.
among the
Among the
public,
residents.
except for these 4 counselors. And we do not know.
They've given no rationale at all for why they.
How many counselors will vote?
Well, there's only 5 counselors sitting right now out of 6 seats. And they voted 4-1 to build.
I was the one that said no, and the other 4 said yes.
How's it look on the reelection coming up in November, competition, that sort of thing?
I don't think it's gonna change much. There's only 2 people running. One is running for his seat, to keep his seat, and he was one of the people that voted for the new plant. There's a newcomer that really doesn't know anything about the issues that's on the ballot. And then there's a write-in person that we're sort of sponsoring, who's in favor of the pipeline. But even if he gets on there, it's still gonna be a 2-4 split, so.
I was just looking to see if there's any competition. We're trying to compete these ideas at the election point, but it doesn't sound like that's going to fix anything. No competition for the positions.
Right.
Okay. But we're not done. And we understand you have to do what you have to do at this point, but the reality of it is, and ultimately, every indication they've given is that they're gonna put this out to bid next spring for somebody else to operate the treatment plant. But this has a potential to blow up in their face.
There's no one
And-
besides you guys that can handle the collection system. I mean, that's what they're talking about, doesn't do anything at all about the collection system.
Does Shane's, as a question, does Shane's reports on like what you showed there, you did, does that, any of that ever get sent over to Gold Hill?
I don't think we've ever sent that to them. We've given them kind of annual updates with similar information.
Yeah.
Basically, if you look at what's in that CMOM report, there's a page on Gold Hill.
Oh, Yeah, because we actually had counselors, some of those that in the majority that voted for this treatment plant that don't think you guys are doing anything.
Yeah, and, yeah.
Collection system, and we argued with them.
Yeah, and the work that they're doing right now, I mean, we're on a rotational cycle, so about every 3 years we come through and do all of that. But just kind of to bring it back to what we're doing. So the agreement we have right now is a 1 year, it expires June 30th. And it has a provision in it that says that we're not going to go beyond that unless it's through an annexation.
June 30th this year or next year?
Of 2023. Okay. There's a provision in it that says that we will continue to operate for 90 days after the end of the contract, to help with the transition. And based on all the stuff that's happening out there, I don't want to go past June of 2023. So I want to, in effect, terminate the contract 3 months earlier, which would be the end of March. And then that 3-month transition will put us to the end of June, which would be out there. We are required to give 90 days notice if we're going to terminate early. So I want to get this out as quick as we can. If nothing else, it'll maybe wake up the council a little bit. I mean, I empathize totally with Mark and Leah on this. Just anyone looking at it rationally, I don't know how you come to a different conclusion. And I've been banging that drum for 5 years now, or for longer probably. But the council has made that decision, and that's their decision to make, not ours. I don't think we have any other route to go, but I want to make sure that we're not going to get strung along and end up staying there without a contract or anything like that.
And to put it in layman's terms, we're talking about either them voting for a plant or joining us for a pipeline.
That's basically the choice. If they vote to annex, we would make sure get the pipeline built and have them connected to the regional system. If they go with the plant,
And are you saying that they have voted for a plant, but you don't know how much it costs or anything?
They actually, the engineer's estimate, this is the other side of it. The engineer's estimate for the treatment option they chose, they did a 11% cost of living adjustment from the figures that were published in the 2019 facility plan, updated the cost, 13.5 million for the treatment plant they voted for. The pipeline inflation adjusted cost is $12.5 million. So
But they wouldn't even allow
how, and
a presentation showing that.
Yeah.
They wouldn't even discuss.
And
that.
again, they build a treatment plant, they have no plan for maintenance of the collection system. And we've argued and argued and argued. Annexation pipeline, RVSS owns the whole system, maintains the whole system. We get Gold Hill out of the wastewater treatment business. And we can focus on fixing the other things wrong with the city. And
Right now, the city isn't doing anything right at all.
yeah,
So if
so
we can get wastewater off the plate, then maybe we can start to do.
Who made up the price for connecting?
it's in the facilities plan. They came up with estimates, and they're all, the margin of error at that level is pretty broad. So they're all in the same ballpark, plus or minus $1 million, which
Yeah.
seems outrageous to say plus or minus $1 million, but that level of detail that you have is, with the plans, you can't really get any tighter than that. So they're all pretty much the same, right around the same ballpark cost on that.
we did want to express our appreciation for Kevin.
Absolutely.
And
All, and you,
and the
just
work
for
that
keeping.
he's been doing, just keeping that plant on the road. So,
So all you need is to increase your population to 12 million, you gotta cover for a buck a
I mean,
piece.
and that's the
Yeah,
big
there you
problem,
go.
is you're looking at, you know, that 12 million figure, that includes 20 years of operating too. So it's not just a capital cost up front, but you know, even if you're looking at it, you know, an $8 million capital cost, you've got 1,200 people. You've
1,200
got,
people.
you know, just under 600
575.
connections in there to pay for that. It's brutal. And you know, it's going to be tough no matter what. Hopefully they'll be able to find, you know, some good grant money or real favorable loan money, but
That's another concern I have is I just, anybody looking at our history running a plant is gonna go, why would we give you money to do that again when we failed so badly? So, I'd looking at it, if I was giving out money, I wouldn't give more money to do something badly that, just done badly for 4 years. I think we'd have a much better chance of getting funding if we go to the pipeline. But again, I'm only one.
I have a couple of questions. Say you have a council of 6 with 1 vacated seat at this point. Does the mayor carry a vote at all?
Only in case of a tie.
There's no tie close.
No.
Right. Have you guys looked at the capability of finding grants? Like you said, you probably have. And they're saying past history. why
We're
should they
just
give you a
starting,
grant?
we're just starting that
Yeah, I
process.
guess we have
We're
a
gonna
plan.
have a one-stop meeting soon.
Do you think if we came down and said we make a decision today, that decision might encourage some action on your council? If we
I
got
would
hard
hope,
nosed
but I
and said,
can't say for sure it would.
what would their option be? I mean,
Well, I think they
it would force them to make a decision sooner or later, more so than now, correct?
Yeah, again, the fear is, they're gonna let the contract with you expire and, depending on, they're gonna put it out to bid, they may get bids, they may not get a single bid. And if they don't get a bid, then they're gonna have to hire their own employees, which the city hasn't had their own wastewater treatment plant employees for 6 years.
You don't just grow
And
on
when we did
trees.
it, didn't go
No,
well.
and
The
they-
last time we did,
yes.
we had multiple violations of the
Yeah.
permit.
The city has proven it's not capable of managing, hiring, training, keeping qualified operators to run the treatment plant. And that's historical fact. And so that's why I say this could blow up in their face next spring if they don't get a bid. And they've already, this contract with RVSS is going to expire. And that's why we're going to continue to fight for common sense, really.
Carla, we've been paid for the last 5 and 6 years.
yes, we've gotten into arrears a couple of times, but they've caught up each time.
Good.
The attitude among the other counselors seems to be that they think you guys are kind of an evil corporation ripping us off.
Which is the farthest thing from the truth, and we've made that point on the website that we've posted.
So we're gonna be the bad guys either way.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, not in our eyes, for sure.
I understand that with the other.
Yes, but also not in the eyes of the majority of the people that have come to council meetings touting the pipeline. And we've had multiple people stand up at council meetings in public comment and say you need to build a pipeline. And they've been totally ignored.
If any people come to council stating that we need to build a plant,
Not one,
not one.
not one.
No, not yet, no.
Does anybody in the public know the consequences financially or operational wise, whichever decision is made?
No, that information hasn't been made available either to the council or to the public.
So people are just
They're just
coming
making
to the
this up.
meeting based on emotion.
Yes,
They want
yes.
to do the facts about which is better. You know, it's not that the choices they make is a bad one, but it's a random choice.
Yeah, one of the other arguments in favor of the pipeline, if Gold Hill builds this treatment plant as they voted for, we've made the argument there could be nutrient removal requirements down the road. Medford's going to have to put in nutrient removal. That's already been written into their permit. We've made the argument, you build the pipeline, Gold Hill's wastewater is going to get treated at the Medford plant to a high level of treatment. Once the nutrient removal is put in, they get rid of their discharge in Gold Hill. If they build this treatment plant and in 5 to 10 years have to put in nutrient removal, 13.5 million right now, you could be looking at another 45 million to install nutrient removal. And it goes in one ear and out the other, literally.
Yeah, because the question I'd ask is, what about Jacksonville? What about Eagle Point? What about all these other
That have tied in.
farms that are all tied in? There's
Yep.
no exception but Ashland.
I know, we've said that, and it's, if it doesn't pencil out for all of these other communities, why do we think it's gonna pencil out for Goldville? And they won't answer these questions.
Yeah.
They just ignore us.
With over 90% approval,
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
doesn't make sense.
So don't give up on us is all we're saying.
That's all we're saying.
Because we have citizens that are gonna try to, we have other options we're looking at. That is what we can do to turn this. And again, we understand.
What are some of those options, if you don't mind my asking?
Should I? Well, we consider
Some people are
recall.
talking about recalls.
recall. That's
About
potentially. the next
ethics
option.
violations, because it's not ethical to not listen to the public.
I stood up Monday night at the council meeting and basically hammered them on ethics. The Oregon State Ethics Commission website has a code of conduct, and there's been no transparency. Nothing's ever been published on the city website, not one word about a $13.5 million project facing the
So the
citizens.
citizens don't know there's a
No.
problem.
90% of the people in town don't even.
As long as it flushes, it works.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep, that's what we're up against.
I frankly like to see some media coverage, but.
I did contact the Mail Tribune last week, but I haven't heard anything back.
We talked about the Pollock.
I have not.
You might try her.
Yeah, I sent the email basically to their news desk, general email. And I also CC Mark Freeman because he deals with some of the river stuff.
Mhm.
But I haven't heard anything back. Our website has gotten some hits from Channel 5, but we've had no contact from TV. So, but we're prepared to go public with the media if they deem that this is a newsworthy story, I guess.
Well, it's an election period, so they're looking at elections in each city right now. It's
Yeah.
in the newspaper. But they're covering the ones that are most.
They're covering the
contentious
big,
first.
yeah. We're pretty low on the totem pole for any.
Yeah.
Well, you look at this as a chess game, you have pieces on the game plate, and you look at it on time frame. One of the game places is that we go ahead and just say 30 June, go on back up to the date you want. And what can happen to you folks when we terminate and you still don't have a methodology to work? How much longer can you wait before you have to come back and say, please, can you take it back again versus whatever else you might do? Is there enough time in there to actually do anything? Or is it become a major failure crisis on 30 June?
It'll become a crisis.
That's our exact fear. You pretty much described it. Yeah, that's our fear.
Yeah, that plant is very good. That plant's driving a car when the alignment is completely, you take your hands off the wheel, you're in the ditch. It's a tough plant to operate.
John Gassing
Yeah,
at DEQ has told us, he told me in the phone call, I talked to him last July, that the city is basically on a knife's edge of a catastrophic enforcement activity against them, penalties. And the only reason it hasn't happened is because of Kevin and maintaining and keeping that plant operating. And so that's why we wanted to make sure we gave our appreciation to Kevin for what he's been
Do
doing.
all the council members have heard that comment? Could you just describe to us?
Yeah, I believe that's.
No
been-
reaction whatsoever?
Yeah, no, you got it. It's.
Really what you have is a drop over the cliff date at some point after 30 June.
Pretty much.
It becomes a health issue.
Yes.
An environmental issue.
Yes.
Environment, but health hazard also.
Yeah,
The model I'm thinking about is, I'm a councilman in Phoenix. We were approached not too long ago by the board of directors, who are lawyers basically, of the Charlotte Ann Water District, and said, we understand we're going to run out of water from our wells on a certain date. Will you incorporate us into your city? They asked us, we didn't ask them. You can have a citizens vote, you can have a group council vote, or you can have a health emergency declared. And when that emergency was declared, nobody gets a say in it. We get to incorporate them if we choose to do so. And that's a year too long.
Right.
I'm just wondering what kind of model there is here with emergency health issue where something has to be done and have a game plan to do it. That's financially doable and politically doable.
Right.
At that point, and start working with the people in the health industry, and there's a whole lot of those folks, to declare the fact that we're approaching a health emergency because of this plan.
Right.
And that causes a whole nother realm of problem, not just the environmental ones. This is human health, not environmental stuff.
Sure.
And that was an illustrious way to do things. I don't know if you even thought about that or.
Yeah, and I don't know the ramifications of that situation if we were to come to that. And one of our fears is, another fear is even if they find somebody to contract operate once your contract expires, that plant has been so hard to run that it very potentially could take whoever comes in there a good period of time to get their feet on the ground and figure out how to run that plant. And if they mess it up and we violate, DEQ is going to be right on us. Again, they've already, they've made that point. So that all of these fears have been put before the council. So.
Unless you folks on the national news. Like water tab, we can't do it. National level news.
Yeah.
Your folks, it's after you get the water in the system.
Yep.
Part of it. You can make the national news based on a health hazard in your city.
Yeah.
And you don't want to have that happen.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get more help than you want.
And again, we totally understand that you need to do this, and I don't blame you for doing this, because this it's going to cause dominoes to fall, whether we end up liking the outcome or not. The dominoes are going to fall. So.
Yeah, I don't know what your city does. If it's a water problem, obviously you can bring temporary water bottles in and take care of the city for a month or two.
Sure.
But if it's the effluent system, I don't know how you fix that.
Yeah.
On a temporary basis.
Yeah.
Put a
Well,
porta potty on everybody's back.
Well,
Yeah, basically.
if the plant was out of compliance, you're essentially probably still going to be discharging partially treated wastewater to the river, and you're going to be incurring a bunch of fines.
Yeah, somebody will shut you down eventually. That becomes a real problem.
Yeah.
Porta potties are.
Yeah. One other option, which I think would probably be a heavy lift, to be a last resort, would be an initiative process for us to start an initiative process to annex.
Yeah.
But that would be, as I understand, be complicated.
Yeah,
probably
I'll talk
expensive.
about that a little bit. So, the agreement we have right now says we go through the end of June, and if they want to annex, then we'll go further with the annexation, but we're not going to go further under the agreement. So the typical annexation process that we use with Phoenix and Jacksonville and Central Point, Shady Cove and Eagle Point, is the city council adopts a resolution asking for an annexation. That comes to you, the board of directors. They pass a resolution saying, we want to have this annexation. And then it goes to the county and they put it on the ballot and it gets voted on. Normally, when you go that process, one of the things we did, what we did with Shady Cove is you have an annexation agreement in advance. It kind of spells out how you're going to operate once the annexation takes effect. So there's things like how you're going to do billing, how you're going to handle existing debt service, things like that, that you spell all that out in advance so people know when they vote, it's not just an annexation, what's all involved with that. So that's the normal process. So to do that, if the Gold Hill City Council decided, we were confused. and they asked for the annexation, then we would come back and do that annexation agreement and lay that out, and then assuming that you guys would approve that, then we go to the vote, and ideally for the May election, the time frame is pretty short for that. Right, you got to have everything in place by February for that. Yeah. If it happened after that, we would, be willing to stick around a little longer. So that's one route, but like they said, the current city council, I don't think they're not interested in that. They've already made that decision. There's a possible, workaround on that, because there is a way that people in an area can petition for annexation. And it's, I sent you the.
And I looked at it,
Like
like you said, it's probably recommended that we have to hire an attorney.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of,
it's more complicated, but, and I think it's designed for, like, if you've got a place that is, just out there on their own, not part of a city or anything like that, and they want to annex into a district, there's a process for that, but I think it could be adapted potentially. They say, you have to circulate a petition, get a certain number of signatures, like 15% of the voters or something. It's, not a huge high number, but it's significant. And then it goes through some hearings at the county level. But the drawback on that is, like, when we annex Eagle Point or Shady Cove, they're outside of our district boundaries. Our district boundary becomes the city limit. So if they grow, we automatically grow. With that alternate approach, if the city expands beyond where that line is drawn, it doesn't automatically adjust. So that makes it a little bit complicated there. And then you don't have the other stuff in place as far as, what happens to the existing debt they have, what happens to, the different properties, the treatment plant property or any of the other stuff. You don't have those decisions made in advance. And so that makes that a little bit more awkward. So I think you would need to get some legal assistance if you're going to go that route, just to make sure we don't fall into any traps on that. It's probably a little bit of a longer process, a little bit more complicated. Doing the whole city thing is obviously very simple and straightforward. Sure, yeah. So, but that's really the only option. And like I said, what I'm proposing here is really to make June 30th the drop dead date that we're done. They would still, if they chose to annex prior to that, then we would still extend. What I don't want to be in a situation is, at the end of June, they say, we need 3 more months for transition. I want to start that 3 months in advance of June.
You're not asking for 3 months.
Halfway through this one.
we don't, again, we don't blame you for doing this. It's only gonna, it's just gonna move things up. What would have happened at the end of September is gonna happen in June, and they need to, DEQ is waiting for a decision. We're supposed to have had a pre-design plan for the treatment plant a year and a half ago. So that was the last extension of the mutual agreement order that we violated. So I guess my question is, if we go ahead and adopt this June 30th deadline, what kind of a position does that put you in then? You got to work really, really hard, make sure they know what we're saying, and tell them the hammer is dropped, make a decision.
Yep.
Would that help, do you think? Wouldn't make your job any easier, I know that, but would it help?
I think so. I think we need a hammer, maybe.
Yeah, and to be honest, DEQ fined us $6,000 and we deserve it. We did this.
And that wasn't enough of a hammer.
No, this mutual agreement order, it's been 10 years. We've been 10 years into this thing. And we're going on looking for our 8th city manager in 7 years. And they want to build a wastewater plant.
I think the person they have right now as an interim is actually really good, and I think that's.
He
gonna
is.
help.
And actually, he has unanimous support among the city council, which is pretty rare. So,
Really? Not
yeah.
for the pipeline,
Not-
obviously.
Oh, not for that.
No. And I'm hoping that he's gonna find a way to maybe start interjecting some
It's,
accurate information that will make them think a little.
he's
more.
Adam Hanks, former administrator for City of Ashland. So he understands the benefit of regionalization. So we don't know if he's gonna be able to eventually pull some sway.
He's only been with us for a couple weeks.
He ain't seen nothing.
So, you guys do what you need to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's better to do this or not.
I wish there
just-
was an easier
yeah.
decision, but
Yeah.
there isn't.
No, I don't blame you at all. Like I say, this is just gonna, because otherwise it's just gonna get drug out 3 more months.
Mhm.
And
And then 3 more after that, and then the year after that. and
if they could probably find a way to drag it out longer than that.
Until it's
they
too late
would.
and half the crap's going in the Rug River.
Yeah,
Pardon my French.
yeah, it's okay.
I feel sympathetic for the citizens, because they're the ones that are gonna suffer if things aren't done right. Right now, we're talking about power plays between organizations, and governments and stuff. But we gotta find a way through that. The ones that have potentially close effect on the individuals and the citizens.
Sure.
And there's nothing I think we can do right now to make that better.
Right.
All we can do is do what we can do, to protect our interests, meaning our population of people we take care of, and allow you folks to either join us or not.
Yep.
And you're welcome to come if you want.
Yeah. Well, and we're, again, the council's refused to get detailed cost estimates on what sewer rates might be for the pipeline, because again, they didn't even want to look at it.
I've done it already.
I honestly believe if you.
I remember you doing it.
I honestly,
Yeah.
it's pretty sure the pipeline is gonna pencil out less than building a treatment plant on a monthly sewer rates. But we're looking at $175 a month water and sewer bills in Gold Hill. If they.
No matter what we do, probably.
No matter what, and it will probably be less than that if we build the pipeline. But yeah.
So in comparison, what's the average price now that you guys are paying?
70, is it the sewer part of it?
Sewer bill's 62, and then water runs, most residents, depending on irrigating in the summer, their water sewer bill combined will run anywhere 95 to 120.
Water's pretty cheap. So sewer's 62 now?
62.
And there's water, your own water.
We have a water treatment plant that we're operating.
Which is also badly in need of
Yeah.
rehab. My argument is let's outsource the wastewater and then we can focus on
Yeah.
drinking water. Most of the citizens are much more concerned about the drinking water. Because it's often full of sediment, and it's not a boiler situation, it's just there's sediment in it.
Right.
People complain about it and they have no idea that the wastewater situation is much worse.
The drinking water does meet state drinking water standards, so yeah.
It does.
And we drink the water.
I
Filter, we drink the
I
filter.
drink it.
We drink filtered tap water, so a lot of people don't.
I wonder why your
They buy
voice is so
bottled
pretty.
water. Yeah. They buy bottled, a lot of people buy bottled water. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I'm a little worried about the water component of this in terms of the amount that's being charged to the individual.
yeah,
Several years ago, before I got involved in politics, I volunteered to be on the first ever water commission for Phoenix.
Mhm.
And our charge then was to come up with a rate schedule, how we're going to charge people. So I invented the 3 tiers, actually 4 tier, because it's a 0 tier and spread it out in various ways. But what I learned from that process was that in that city, about 85% of the cost on a bill goes to the infrastructure to deliver the water to the first drop.
yeah.
After that is a minute amount of money to pay for the water, unless you're a huge user like Walmart,
Sure.
to go in there. And I just don't have a feel and no knowledge at all of whether you folks actually have a process for that that mirrors the fact that maybe you're undercharging the people and therefore you're having infrastructure problems. So maybe the water piece of this needs to be investigated to raise it, I'm guessing, to an appropriate level, then come in with this, and it's gonna be a lot more than 175 you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a
And
lot.
you're right, that the water rates probably haven't been evaluated
Mhm.
in probably years. That's all this things on the city's plate that a lot of stuff just doesn't get addressed.
I think a lot of the small cities around here acquiesce to the desires of the people that live there to say, I can't afford to pay too much for whatever it is, water or something. So they suppress the amount they're charging, which means they underfund the capital side of things. And way downstream somewhere, it breaks,
It's good,
Yeah.
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 And if Charlotte and District is the same problem. They've been undercharging for water for so long, they didn't build their infrastructure.
Yep.
When they come into us, we're gonna have to charge for that infrastructure cost.
Right.
Their water bills are gonna go up whether they like it or not. Because they've been underfunding for years.
Yes, and that's exactly what they've done to Golden Hill.
I feel sorry for you because you're gonna get a double whammy here on both sides of the entire structure system here. Input and output.
Yes.
So Carl, do you need a vote or anything?
Yeah, because actually I put your signature block on the letter.
You remember how to write names.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't change it, but I put the letter in the back and basically, I'm saying that in light of the recent decision that they made, we decided it's not in our best interest to continue the relationship, and we'll terminate the contract March 31st and allow 3 months transition period. So that's,
You need a motion?
yes.
So motion.
Second.
Is that all the discussion? Quickly say. Roll call, please.
Mike Parker,
Yes.
Jim Snyder,
Yes.
Michael Parsons.
Yes.
Oh, Roger's not here.
Roger left already.
Yeah.
Boy, the most contentious thing, he runs away.
He was a silent partner anyway.
Yeah. Not just for a few guys. Way back when, before I got on the council for the first time, they had a city manager who was going to be fired just before I got on the council.
Phoenix.
We're doing exactly what you're talking about. His solution to problems was write it on a sticky note, put it on the wall, and then ignore it.
Yeah.
Nothing was getting done.
Yeah.
And we've been
That's-
fortunate to have some good city managers come in who actually build a staff with good people to get things running, and it really paid off. They made a fire rebuild. So our city is doing quite well in that respect.
Yeah.
We are.
I can only
Awesome
dream.
So I can understand the struggle you guys are having.
I mean, the reality is, when we entered this agreement 5-6 years ago almost, there's nobody on the city council member there when we started, and they're on their 5th or 6th city manager in that same time frame. So it's, it's tough to get any kind of momentum.
Crisis management.
We're not giving up.
Yeah, that's what Adam, the new interim manager, says every day he comes in, feels like it's the emergency operations center.
No, it has to be. Yeah, if the other guy wasn't doing their job for a year and a half. Got to be a huge backlog on functions, decision.
Sure.
God knows what else.
Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you for
We
listening,
very much
And
appreciate
again-
listening.
and we do appreciate all you do to keep Gold Hill.
Next time, bring another 900 citizens with you.
Okay.
And we'll try and do this.
Exactly.
Okay.
Good luck with your guerrilla warfare.
Yeah.
I guess we're up to our claims. Should we be paying our bills or not?
I vote for it. I recommend yes.
Or you could do it in Gold Hill.
I'll motion to pay the claim.
Second.
Motion second to pay our bills. Roll call.
Mike Parker,
Yes.
Jim Snyder,
Yes.
Michael Parsons.
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna talk about an executive session again, but since there's only 3, it's fine if we just skip that and do it next month.
Okay.
No crises.
Nothing major to report on
Meeting adjourned.
that. Okay.
All
All right, I am.
Off the recording.
Mike Parker, don't go anywhere because I need
Well, thank
to
you guys for
sign
coming.
everything.
Oh, thank you.
That's my question.